So, now that you know what the rig can do, let's start with a tutorial on how to set up a character with the everfresh cartoon rig character object preset. After you downloaded the rig, put it in your C4D's preferences folder under library characters. If there isn't already a folder named characters, just create one and put the C4D file in there. Once the file is in the correct folder, it will appear as everfresh rig in your character objects drop-down menu. I've decided to speed up most of the tutorial footage and do a voiceover opposed to doing everything in real time, so you won't be stuck with a boring 3-hour tutorial. Okay, let's go to Menu, Character and select the character object. Create the components, first the root, then the spine. Hold down Ctrl when you click the arms to create the left and the right side simultaneously. Select the spine component again, Ctrl click the leg component, once again select the spine and click face, then Ctrl click face rig to create the left and the right side. The face component contains all the elements of the face rig that are located at x0, and the face rig component contains all the face rig elements of the left side, which will be mirrored to the right and then also be nested into the main face rig group. After you brought in all the necessary components for your character, click on the Adjust tab and start adjusting the rig. Make sure arms and legs stay slightly bent in the initial pose, so they will bend in the right direction later on. The face rig adjustment handles may seem a bit wild and overwhelming at first, but once you've put them in their appropriate spots, it will all make sense. Once you're done adjusting the components, it's time to select controllers instead of components in the Adjustment tab. Position and scale the controllers to your liking. Make sure you are in model mode instead of object mode, otherwise scaling the individual controllers will affect their children. Now it's time to bind our character. Go to the Binding tab and lock the Attributes Manager window by clicking the lock icon. Select all the elements you want to bind and drag them into the binding slot. Make sure you drag them all in at once, otherwise Cinema will fuck the auto-weight process up and your character will deform in a very weird way. Speaking of ugly deformations, as you can see, we need to correct some weights now. Deactivate your subdivision surface object and double-click the weight tag of your main body mesh Cinema 4D created for us. Start painting the weights for your character until you've got smooth deformations. If you want to know more about weight painting, check out my first tutorial on the rig or watch some other more in-depth weight painting tutorials. Weighting a face can be a bit tricky. In my experience, it's best to start clean with the head weighted 100% to the head joint and then start adding weights to the bigger portions of your face, like the head mid-joint for the upper part of the head and the jaw area, before you paint the weights for the lips and the eye areas. Quick note, I've put the eyes now as a child of the eye joints and the FFD deformer into the parent group, because if you scale the head, the FFDs won't be scaled with it and we want them to. Otherwise the eyes geometry just pop out of the FFDs and you get the Arnold Schwarzenegger on Mars effect. If your character has perfectly round eyes instead of flat cartoony eyes, you can leave the eyes where they were before. bear with me, we are almost done. Although the most elaborate part is still before us, setting up the pose morphs. The next steps are very important, and it's crucial that you follow them in the exact order. Think of pose morph tags like girlfriends. One wrong move and you're doomed, and you usually can't tell what exactly caused it to happen in the first place. Find the pose morph tag on the null called faceparent C2 head and click it. Switch to edit mode and then click on the inclusion tab. Make sure the mode is set to exclude and twirl down the complete hierarchy of the face rig. Click on the arrow to start a pick session and pick everything in the face rig's hierarchy except the nulls with the word poser in the name. Make sure you really got them all, because for the face's main pose morphs we want to move the controller's parent nulls with the word poser in their names, not the controllers themselves. We need the controllers for secondary control over the face later on. Also exclude the L_lit up poser, the L_lit low poser, the R_lit up poser, and the R_lit low poser as well, since we are going to make separate pose morph tags for them. Somehow the hierarchy mode won't go that deep. I think it's a bug. We can hide all controllers for now by setting the controllers layer to invisible. Also, to make the poser nulls show up again, set the character object's editor visibility to all. Then click on the basic tab, twirl down mixing, tick the checkboxes for position, scale and rotation. Make sure to uncheck points. Finally, tick the hierarchy checkbox. Now click the Tag tab, select the first pose, move the slider to 100% and then move the according poser nulls to create your pose. Only move the nulls relevant to that pose. We don't want to store data for nulls that have nothing to do with that pose. Unfortunately, we will have to do every pose twice for the right and the left side, because flipX somehow doesn't work for object-based PSR morphs. It just flips the whole face rig, and we certainly don't want that. If anyone knows a workaround how to flip PSR morphs correctly, please tell. Last but not least, we create the extra pose morph tags for the lid posers and set up poses for the individual eyelids to open and close. Once you're done with all the poses, switch the pose morph tags back to animate mode and then double click the espresso tag on the main face rig null. As you can see, there's a long list of user data from our face rig interface, some range mappers, and also our pose morph tags poses. Drag all of the 4 newly created pose morph tags for the eyelids into the Expressor window and create imports for all their poses as well. Hook up all the ports of the face morph tag one after another. They are already in the right order. Just start at the top and move your way down. Then also hook up the eyelid morph tags. Select the character object to bring up the face rig's user interface and play around with the sliders to check if everything is hooked up correctly. If you're not completely happy with the mixing of your poses, you can always switch back to the pose morph tag and adjust them. For some poses, you will also want to add correctional point morphs on the character mesh. Next, locate the eye meshes, which we made children of the eye joints. Create pose morph tags for them and select points. Make 2 poses each for the scaling of the pupils. Once you're done, bring up the Expressor window again, drag them in, create ports and hook them up as well. For correctional poses on the main mesh, also create a pose morph tag and set it to points mode. Create the poses you want to correct, move the phase rigs interface sliders to the positions you want your point-based corrections to happen, and set up the poses. Once you're done, drag that pose morph tag into the expressor window and hook them up as well. I think that's it. The rig should now work with your character if you followed all the steps. If you have any questions, suggestions, or general feedback, please write a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching, have fun with the rig, and bye bye.